All right, people, we have finally done it. A complete early game tier list. Nothing but early game. Going to explain in just a moment. Howdy, howdy, and welcome back to another video for Lord of Heroes. Now, I need you to hit those like and subscribe buttons as we be posting that content. Okay, as you notice, I'm actually using my phone here because mirroring apps don't work, but we do have an early game tier list. Disclaimer! I want to tell you that this is only F2P. So you're going to notice on this tier list, and let's go to the tier list, that there are a bunch of heroes that are completely missing. And the reasons is because what I consider early game is the normal mode of the storyline. Once you complete normal and go to hard, that's your mid game. Once you complete hard and go to extreme, that's your late game. And then all the other stuff. We're going to have like tier list and things and all that for those parts of the game later on. But right now, let's focus in on this specific tier list, why I choose what's going to be where it's at and all of that. We'll try to make this definitely not an hour long. Definitely not an hour long like that first one. That was a stream. You should hang out with me on Twitch because we like to play video games and talk stuff. All right, so let's get right into it and get it really quick. We're going to go here to the top of the list to our first three heroes that we have here. Your healers are your most important pieces. Now, mind you, this early game is built around the red Vanessa. Now, you don't necessarily have to have her for the early game, but what she does for you is make your mid and your late game a lot easier, especially your late game once you get into a stream and the enemies, especially bosses, can one shot your DPS. So if you're not spending a lot of money to be able to just burst HP bars down like easily, you're going to need some protection. She provides you condoms, and if you played any games that got condoms, that's called immunity. For you people that don't know, you're going to need those to put hands on things and not get hands put on you. All right. Now that I'm editing the video, I just realized I said condoms and not invincibility. There's a difference between protection and you just not getting none. So, invincibility, people. With this specific strategy, and I've said it a few times already, you're going to need her to do the immunity. I'm not going to go into full detail about it, but she's going to be an important piece. But in order to get her, you have to get this blue Charlotte here first. So that costs you 3,000 of your gems in order to unlock her, which costs 5,000 right now. Another reason why a lot of other heroes aren't on this list is either they are expensive or certain heroes that could be decent that's not higher on the tier list. I say like the blue Astrid here. I'm sure she does tremendous things, but the reasons why a lot of these heroes aren't going to be where they should be on the tier list for your early game progression, especially like your green Olivia, is because they have turn bar manipulation. Turn bar manipulation messes up any synergy you have with her because you want her to be at a specific speed in order for you to deal with the boss fights. And granted, it's going to be great for you. So she's second on the list for that. So that makes the blue Vanessa first on the list. And she's first on the list because she's going to be the easier one to obtain. Granted, if you're flying and you grinding through the main story fast, you probably don't even need to pick up the Red Vanessa until you are in the hard mode. But for some of you that will be lagging behind, because not everybody's going to be able to min-max and do well in those first 7 days of playing, then she's going to be a thing. I was kind of like debating too on putting the contracts in because you don't get them until your 15th day. But I figure like there still can be people that maybe take 15 days to get through the normal game mode, which it shouldn't take you more than 7 days if you do things correctly, 6 days if you're just got that good of RNG and really just insane in your progression, and maybe spending a little money. But once again, this is for people that won't be spending anything, all F2P games and that such. So you will be saving 6,000 gems to get your blue Vanessa. Green Charlotte is going to be important in the meantime for your progression. Like on my very first account, I used the green Charlotte and the blue Charlotte to clear the final boss. So you don't necessarily need to have the blue Vanessa or the red Vanessa, but their combination is insanely good. I'm running them both on two different accounts right now and just testing them on not only the normal and hard modes but extreme mode. And I tell you, this combination is like insanely broken in how they work. All right, moving on. So next we have the Water Helga. Water Helga is a 4-star that you will get along the storyline and normal. A lot of your F2P game units you're going to get in the storyline. You're going to get in the storyline, and they're going to be great useful units that you're going to be. She gives you sap damage, and she got a bit of self healing as well. She's a striker class. Striker class is like your main DPS class. They're going to be really important. You're going to put a lot of resources into building your Water Helga in the early game. All right, let's go on to my buddy here, Johan. Johan is going to be the first warrior you get. He's going to be a 3-star when you first get him, but he's pretty unique because he's the first hero that has a provoke, and it's on his first skill, and he can provoke every boss but the salamander boss, which I said before, and the final boss. I don't think there is any other bosses that I haven't seen him provoke at least one time, because I think you have like a 30% chance or something like that for the provoke to work. But when it works, it does save you a lot of time to build your burst gauge and get your red Vanessa ready to protect the team. So it's good to buy time. As you get further on and you get like a little above, I believe like halfway, somewhere around halfway or above halfway through the game, you're going to end up getting another 4-star, which is the green Astrid. Now Astrid is pretty good because she has a burst skill that can literally one shot a boss if you build her strong enough to do so, because she ignores defense on her burst skill. But I utilize this skill generally once the boss is so low that she can probably take them down easily, and I don't need to worry about protecting my team anymore. Sometimes I miscalculate and it doesn't work, but when it does work, it works well, and it keeps it so you don't have to be in a fight longer than what you need to be. So that makes her really important. Plus her second skill, giving her the ability to strip buff one of the first buffs that was applied. So if it's a bunch of buffs on in particular enemy, she'll take the first ones that were applied to them. But on the final boss, the only thing he's going to do is buff his attack. So you'll be able to remove his attack at least twice in the fight before you kill him, probably. So that's going to be helpful in mitigating some of the damage that you'll be taking. This is why this list right here, all of them are the S tier, and this is pretty much going to be your main team and the main team at the end of the early game. You're going to also get a few other heroes along the way before you swap out Mikhail for Astrid, because she's the sniper class and Mikhail's the sniper class. You will be using him because he's an early game 4-star. One of the first 4-stars you get, he's going to have higher base stats. He's going to be really strong, and he's element neutral. So you're going to be utilizing him throughout most of your early game until you get to the point where you get Astrid, because she has a better skill kit. She's going to be more important. Mikhail is just going to be damage, and you're not going to have a lot of damage early on. And since your strategy is sustain and not DPS, you're not going to worry about trying to just have high damage anyway. All right. Once again, Blue Charlotte, she's mainly used to help you get to your red Vanessa, but she's also a decent healer as well. Not the best, but since it's early game and there's not very many healers in the game, she's okay. After your 7th day, which you should probably already have normal complete, but if you don't, you will get the green Olivia. Green Olivia, good damage. I used her a lot on my main. I had a 6-star and leveled up and built. I just removed her. She's also sniper class. Astrid is just better for this particular strategy. But if you're not running the red Vanessa in your strategy, then she's probably better in that regard. If you're using turn bar manipulation, where your team is like gaining turn bar and you're removing turn bar from the enemy, she's going to be a great addition to have to your team. I think the first hero I bought on my main account was the Red Schneider. Red Schneider is really strong. He can fully heal himself off his second skill if there's a lot of enemies, just because he hits everything and he absorbs health off of the damage that he deals. Great. But what I've learned so far is a lot of the bosses that you're going to deal with that's going to be really strong, at least some of the bosses that's going to be really strong and hard to deal with, are water based, which makes fire DPS kind of like meh. Still strong, but once you get into those boss fights, it's going to be a bit of a problem. But since your main focus is buying blue Vanessa and red Vanessa, you're not going to be spending your gems. Though you get a lot, it's still going to take a while to grind them up. So you will be spending days just grinding up the gems, completing stages, 3-starring them, and events, so forth and so on. You definitely don't want to be wasting your gems on the heroes like the Red Schneider. Though he's great, he's just not a necessity to have, especially DPS, since they give you so many free DPS you don't have to spend anything on. Alright, your contracts. I put them all here just because they are really great. They are the first 5 stars that you will get outside of creating one. They're really in particular order, honestly. I think the Lucilica might be slightly better, but you still have the green Astrid, the green Olivia. I think that you will have before, at least in that attribute, because you want your DPS to be different attributes. And let's just take a look at the game itself. The green Lucilica, she's a striker, so it'll be something that you'll be using to replace like your blue Helga, and you kind of want decent AoE damage, at least 2 of your heroes to do AoE damage on the second skill. She doesn't have one. She's all single target. So it's like you have to compensate for losing AoE damage. And it's 15 days. So you'll be in the mid game by then. Maybe you do make some changes. I'm going to do a mid game guide at some point. Don't hold your breath. You'll probably pass out. All right. So now to the list of the B tiers. The B tiers are not bad, but once again, the same problems as I was saying before. You have the blue Olivia, which is turn bar manipulation but good damage. So if you're not running red Vanessa, great one to pick up. Costs about 6,000 gems. So this will probably be something I would say for someone that's spending money, yeah. But since this is a guy that's not talking about people that spending money, avoid. The green Schneider you get early on, the really good sap damage that will be beneficial, that you will use him for a bit, but once you start filling out your team, he's definitely not going to be needed. Then you got your 2 Guardians, Fram and Zyra. Once you get Zyra, you'll never use her. I mean, you can if you like her, if you want to, but honestly, you'll never use her. I mean, fire tank, she can absorb a lot of water damage and stuff, but you really not gonna use Guardians and the double Vanessa team comp. You're not. Your clerics is gonna do all of your tanking for you. That's just pretty much how that goes. Fram is great. I used to love her a lot just because she had the defense break on first skill, but after really learning about the double Vanessa team, that since your whole prime objective is sustain and slowly cleave the boss, you don't need a defense break or attack buff. Not important. Water pup. I remember in the first tier list, I put him like at the bottom of just being trash. He's not really trash. I mean, every hero in the game is kind of useful to some degree, but you're not going to buy a DPS with your gems. You're just not doing it. So that's why he's here. The fire melee, she's fire. and she's a sniper, but she's kind of confused. She want to heal too. She got like a regen. I mean, once you get Chrome, even though he's a guardian, he's better. He has turn bar manipulation. Don't use the red Vanessa with turn bar manipulation. He pairs well with the green Olivia since she reduces enemy and he boosts his team. Same thing goes here for the green Mah-Lon. She also reduces the enemy, but everybody at one time. These three work well together. Maybe I should do it another account that's all turn by manipulation and see how that works out. It'll do great in the early game. Just once it gets to the late game, it might be a bit of a problem, but I don't know. It'd be nice to do an account like that. Maybe once global hit, I do an alternate account just specifically that strategy. We'll see what happens. All right, now for the C tier. Here in the C tier, we have also decent units. Fire, yeah, she got AoE Death Break, which is great. I think that'll probably be better in PvP or something like that. But even I don't see her that much in people's PvP, at least not on defense. And you can't have the same offense as defense unless you're just manually taking everything out to put it in your main team and then putting it back on your defense when you're done, which I think that's a hassle. But so she's kind of meh in that regard, at least from what I see. You're not gonna use her. You're not gonna really use her unless you honestly want to use the red Helga, a blue Astrid. Let's just keep it short and sweet. These last three really not gonna do much for you. I believe the blue Astrid is expensive. Once again, you're not about to spend 6,000 gems for something like that. Both of these cost 3K, but they do nothing. I think they're both guardians, and honestly, Zyra and Fram is just better guardians than these two. So, I mean, Wind Guardian, so I guess he's great because he's a different attribute, so he can be used in that regard. I believe he got like a provoke or stuns or some stuff like that, which is common for the Guardians, but nah. So this is pretty much the basic rundown for my early game tier list. Use these units, possibly some of these. Don't use anything else. That's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you smash that like button. If you didn't, there's always a button for you guys as well. Links to the Discord will be in the description box below, as well as the pinned comment below. Join us on Discord where we talk about the games we play, including this game. Probably only this game. Mostly my friends that's been around for the longest hang out there. So we just sit and play other games, and I sit and talk about this game while they don't care. Please talk to me. I'm lonely. That's it. Gamer Dude signing out. I'll catch you in the next one. Deuces.